Hi, everybody. It's Eamon here. And on today's podcast, we do have a very special guest. It's Clinton, and Clinton's coming all the way from Engaging Networks. Clinton, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's good to be talking with another O'Brien.
Yes, indeed. I was going to bring it up, but two O'Briens from opposite sides of the world on two different sides of the ocean coming together. So, yeah, always good, always good. So, for those that haven't heard about Engaging Networks, could you maybe tell and share a little bit about what this is all about? Because on your website it's very intriguing, but for those that don't know, feel free to share.
Sure. Well, Engaging Networks has been around 23 years and is a top software as a service platform used by nonprofit organizations. And they use our platform for their outbound email and SMS campaigns, and they use us for their donation pages on their websites, and they use us for a raft of other forms of engagement, such as event management or e-commerce, all the ways that they interact digitally with their donors and supporters. We power that for them.
Fantastic. And obviously 23 years, you have a lot of experience in the industry. I mean, with this, what do you see is the next big thing in fundraising when it comes to nonprofits? Like we're talking a little bit before we jumped on the call, like you're sharing a little bit about leveraging AI. I'm intrigued to find out a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, so we're one of the leading tech companies in the nonprofit sector. Although I hasten to add, we have just a couple of for-profit clients too that engage in advocacy, and we're really good for advocacy campaigns. So think The Body Shop or Ben & Jerry's, they'll use our tools for their advocacy campaigns, grassroots advocacy online. But yeah, the next big thing is something we're always debating internally and with our partners and clients. And in recent years, I'd say there was a huge emphasis properly on personalizing the experience for donors and supporters so that you would know who among your donors, if you're an animal welfare organization, love dogs, and you would automatically on the fly show them the puppy photo and not the kitty photo. But you'd also know who are your big donors and your small donors so that you could tailor, how big of an ask to make when they hit your landing page. Is it an ask for a $10 donation or a $1,000 donation, for example? So personalization has been really big. In more recent years, the move to mobile has been a really big thing, as well as to SMS, now doing automated, marketing automation journeys that combine not only email, but also SMS texting kind of seamlessly. Right now, I'd say the big buzz, and rightly so, is around artificial intelligence, because it really has the power to revolutionize nonprofit fundraising and just engagement with your supporters and donors in general. And actually, we're really blessed because our CEO founder, Graham Covington, founded a sister company 5 years ago called Accessible Intelligence. And if people want to look this up, there's a website, accessibleintelligence.io is their web address. And Accessible Intelligence is pioneering things that we're now benefiting from on the Engaging Networks platform, namely the ability to use an algorithm to identify key subsegments of your supporter base in order to then serve up the optimal messaging stream to convert more of those supporters into donors or more of those one-time donors into recurring donors. So it's quite exciting. It's winning awards, and more importantly, it's really increasing conversion rates and helping nonprofits maximize how much the funds that they can raise from their supporters.
Fantastic. And it's great to see that kind of cutting-edge technology being put to good use and with good causes, because I see like you work with some very much household names when it comes to nonprofits and companies like that. So when it comes to, let's say, gaining, let's say, new partners or new companies that you're working with, how important is your website in relation to that? I mean, do you do more outbound, inbound, or how's the mix happening at the moment?
Yeah, I would say our website, our corporate marketing website, has always been super important, but it's getting only more so. And part of what's driving that is, you've probably read some of the same industry trends information that I have about the younger tech buyers who are coming along and how they actually don't really want to engage with your sales team, or at least not very early in the sales cycle. They'd rather do more of their online shopping, as it were, to check you out at a distance. And so you have to have content for them that engages them and shows them how you're different from your competitors and makes them want to contact you. And in our case, we have a pretty good website that we overhaul every couple of years. Our most recent overhaul, I think, was a year and a half ago. But we're constantly trying to increase the amount of video and the amount of sort of self-serve information that's there, particularly for things like integrations, because we're finding that that's become a really important competitive edge, is not just having great tools that are built in and integrated with your platform, but having APIs that are open and flexible so you can connect to all the other tools that your clients and prospects might want to connect to.
No, you covered so many good points there. I mean, one, yeah, what you said is so true. Is like young people when they're coming, whether generation, whatever, want to kind of figure things out by themselves before they do that final initial step and book that demo, book that contact call. So it's serving up all these little experiences before they do that. With this, like moving forward, like what's one area, let's say, in the website that you can see yourself, or in general, where you're outbound marketing, besides the AI, that you can see is somewhere where you're really focused on improving upon, or maybe that you have improved upon with your last update to your website?
Yeah, well, we're trying to get really good tracking in place. It's something that's frankly eluded us in recent years, is how to get really good tracking in place so that we know who's hitting our site, where they came from. Are they already in our marketing qualified leads database? So maybe they're already receiving some emails from us. And also, if you can see what URL they've come from, it gives you a good idea of where your inroads are, and you can work on that. So tracking is really vital, especially connecting to our outbound campaigns so that we can understand the return on investment of various different marketing channels and sales channels that we might be, investing in. But also the idea of putting much more video-based information on the website, that's something that we're convinced is important, particularly because this younger generation of tech buyers that's coming up is looking for more video assets. Mostly we just want to be able to get them the information they want quickly and easily, not make it hard to navigate through our site. We're also trying to do a lot of social media that leads back to our site. So that's where we have a growing team we call them the growth team, but it's marketing and sales combined. And we've hired some good people recently that I think are going to make a big difference for helping us up our game on the marketing and sales side.
Yeah, it sounds like you're getting everything lined up, and definitely video is key with engaging. I mean, so many people are on TikTok or Instagram, and it's all these little 30-second little videos that are just grabbing people's attention. That's kind of what people are getting used to, and that's kind of coming more into marketing and in general society as well. So with that, kind of switching gears, looking at you as a leader in what you're doing, I mean, what keeps you busy on a day-to-day basis? I mean, how does your workday look when it comes to drawing up new strategies or developing?
So we're an unusual company in that we never took any outside investment whatsoever, not even angel investment. And so we're a completely bootstrapped operation, and yet we serve some of the most famous, largest nonprofits in the world, everyone from the Nature Conservancy and World Wildlife Fund to National Geographic and Oxfam and Canadian Red Cross, and even the British Labour Party uses our tools. So we focused a lot on client retention over the years. That's been our priority. It's really not been growth. And it's only because in recent years, we finally achieved a really high level of client retention, hitting 97% client retention for the past 3 straight calendar years, that we've now given ourselves permission to turn some attention over to growth. So trying to get better at sales and marketing, particularly marketing, where I think until recently we've kind of languished. We've always had a decent but small sales team. What's different is we want to tell our story more widely, and that's where marketing becomes more important. So our goal now is to, improve marketing without breaking sales, and certainly keep our focus on the grand prize, which for us will always be client retention, client satisfaction. We very much believe in the old adage that the client you have is more valuable than the client you could go out and find. And so try to not only keep your clients happy, try to delight them. And I think, if you listen actively and often to them, they also tell you how to continue developing your product to keep it very cutting edge and make sure that it's still maximizing the value to your client base.
Definitely. And like, I think your focus is really reflected in your numbers. So 97% retention rate. I think there's a lot of people listening into this that'll be like envious of those numbers when they see that
Well,
kind of.
and they don't happen by themselves, right? I mean, for that to happen, a lot of other things have to all be going right. Starting with a great product that keeps getting better all the time. That's the nature of a software as a service platform. It has to keep improving, or else why are you charging a subscription fee? You should just charge a one-time fee, right? And the second thing is the support. The tech support has to really be excellent. Especially sophisticated tools like ours. Inevitably, clients are going to have questions, so you need operators standing by who really know the product in depth and can provide not just answers but strategy advice. Like, what are you trying to achieve with the tools, and give you a better answer based on understanding your underlying goal and what you're trying to do. So those things have to go really well for client retention to be high and strong.
It's so true. It's so true. And switching gears and looking at the rapid fire round, this is one of my favorite sections in the podcast. So, Clinton, are you ready for some quick questions?
Maybe, I guess we'll find out.
No problem. Like, what was the last book you read, for example?
Well, I went back and reread one of the few business books that I ever really liked, which was called High Output Management, and was by Andy Grove, who was the founder and chairman of Intel. And the reason I reread it is because I noticed in a bookstore that it's still in print, like on its 5th edition. And for a business book to stand the test of time, it has to be really good. So I remember having enjoyed it the first time through, and I wanted to go back and remind myself. And I remember the really remarkable thing, coming from the guy who co-founded Intel, is the book's not about technology at all. It's about people and people management. And I think that's a profound, insight, is that of all the levers a company has, the really most powerful one is not the technology, and it's not the brand, it's not even the strategy, it's the people, and the culture that you use to motivate the people. So I wanted to be reminded of that, and I went back and reread that book.
Very good. And yeah, it's so true. Definitely, it's people, it's the leadership that make a company, not the other way around. And sometimes when you reread a book again, you don't see something that wasn't in the book before, you see something that wasn't in you before.
Exactly.
You're getting
You have to be ready for these messages.
Sometimes it takes the second and the third reading, have them spaced out. That's in my own experience. So with this, I mean, if you were to start all over again, I know that, for example, you're with Engaging Networks for a while, but if you were to start all over, your first day, your first week, what advice would you give yourself? What would you change, or what would you do differently?
I think it's hard to say, because I feel like the evolution of my time at Engaging Networks was inevitable and necessary. I already was very familiar with the nonprofit sector, having worked for one big nonprofit, PBS, the Public Broadcasting Service, but then also working for a company called Care2 that serves nonprofit clients, but not with technology, with a form of advertising or lead generation. And then I came to Engaging Networks 9 years ago, and I was fortunate that I could leverage this. I already knew people in the sector. I already knew a lot of decision makers within large nonprofits, mid-sized nonprofits. What I didn't know was the product, the technology. And especially this form of software as a service platform, some of us in the nonprofit sector refer to our platform as an eCRM, to distinguish it from a CRM database of record, like Salesforce or HubSpot or Razor's Edge. Those are all databases of record, home bases for your data, but they don't have engagement tools. And our platform is about engagement tools. So I needed inevitably a year or two to really get my head around the product in order to get good at my job. So I don't know that I could have changed that. I think I always knew that was going to be the biggest challenge and the biggest return on investment, for applying myself. But going back, I think I might have spent more time working on, just sort of getting the marketing tracking in place, because, that's coming very late in the game. And I have no regrets that we've put our focus on client retention rather than sales and marketing over those years. But I do sort of regret that we didn't at least get the marketing tracking in place until, much, much sooner in our evolution.
Okay, okay, and great to hear that. And if there is one thing, let's say all the nuggets, everything that you've shared so far in this great podcast, if people were to only take away one thing about engaging networks, what would you like that to be?
I think it's that big nonprofits and mid-sized nonprofits whose missions are vital to our planet and our society and our environment deserve the best tools. And in our case, here we are compared to some of our competitors who are big publicly traded companies worth billions. And yet we have this amazing roster of clients who went down that path and decided it wasn't for them and then chose us. I think I would encourage people to say, look not only at the tools, the technology, but at the company that stands behind the tools. Because whether you like it or not, if you select their platform, you're now in a relationship with that company. And make sure that it's a company that is listening to you actively and genuinely, like they're going to build the things you ask them to build. They're going to give you top rate service and really care about you and prioritize your success above their own. And that's where we're very differentiated from our competitors, and not just in what we say, but what we've done for 23 years and how we've gotten here to be one of the leading ECRMs for nonprofits, despite never having taken any sort of investment. And we love our independence because it means that we are answerable only to our clients, and as well as to our own employees, our team. But who we're not answerable to is some venture capital firm or private equity firm who are trying to boss us around, make us grow faster, make us more aggressively monetize every possible revenue stream. We know that would be unhealthy for our clients. And frankly, we wouldn't enjoy it either. We've been blessed with really good staying power, longevity. Our own team, rather, very little churn over the years. We have a lot of people who've been here 15 years. I've been here 9 years. And we like it that way. So we cherish our independence, and we think it's actually better for our clients that we are independent so we can focus just on the client's needs.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, that's it for today's podcast. Thank you so much. There's so many nuggets of information. I'm sure lots of people will be listening to this podcast again and again. So I really appreciate your time, Clinton, and definitely check out Engaging Network. So for this episode, that is it. I look forward to seeing everybody on the next episode of Pat Monk Presents.
Thanks, Eamon.
Thank you.